It's time for me to share my take on the July 2024 Sheetload of Cards sketch from Call Me Crafty Owl. Hey, it's Beth. Welcome. It is time for the July 2024 Sheetload of Cards from Call Me Crafty Owl, and this month is a special one because it's her 60th sheetload. Can you believe that? She's come up with 60 amazing sheetloads over the last several years, and to celebrate that, this month we are making 5x7 size cards. So each month, if you haven't seen Sheetload of Cards yet, each month Call Me Crafty Owl gives you a card sketch, a supply list, and a cut list, and just the guide, everything you need to create a certain number of cards. And this month we are making 8 5x7 size cards. This is a collaboration hop with all of her collaboration team members, so please check out the playlist linked in the description box below to see everyone's amazing cards. We all seem to have kind of a different take on the sheetload each month, so it's always nice to see how one sketch can result in so many different kind of designs or card designs, I guess. So for this month, I am going to be using this some sheets from this Enchanted collection from Memory Place. I actually got this in a mystery box from A Cherry on Top Crafts, and so I thought it was just really pretty and I was ready to use it. So I'm going to be using a couple sheets from this along with some of the tags and ephemera pieces. And then I'm also pulling in a couple sheets from the Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Coastal papers, because I wanted a matte, but I didn't want to do like a solid cardstock, and I kind of like the soft, almost watercolory feel to these. I thought it went really well with the soft fairy woodland theme with this collection. So let's get into making my cards for this month. I have my pieces all already pre-cut and sorted, and they're in the playlist below will be Call Me Crafty Owl's video where she does her card assembly and shows you how to cut everything down. So I'm not going to show you guys that today, but I decided to ink up the edges of all of my pieces. So I pulled out I believe it's the Antique Linen distress ink, and I'm going around the edges of all my pieces. And part of it's because I kind of wanted that aged vintage look, and then I also am not doing matting on the strips that are going to go across the front, and so I wanted to help those stand out from the patterns, the pattern beneath it. And then I also, if I was going to ink those, I wanted to kind of make everything cohesive. So, and don't worry, I'm not going to ink every single piece with you since there's a lot of little pieces, but I did ink everything. I'm on my last little strip now, and then we can go ahead and work on getting my first few cards assembled. I'll put my ink away, and I decided to bring in a mat to go behind the 4x6 piece, and part of that is because I was using white cardstock and my paper I didn't really want the pattern like directly against the white, and so that's why I liked that kind of soft vintage watercolory feel of the Simple Stories vintage coastal. And it acts as a solid, but it's not like a smooth solid. Like I didn't want cardstock. So I'm going to start layering things up, and like I said, I'm not going to be doing the matte, and I'm also not going to be doing the circle sentiment. I wanted to use some of the tags and ephemera that came in with the collection. And then also, instead of a true sentiment, I'm going to be using part of the branding strip that was at the bottom of the papers. All of the branding strips on the back side had the message, repeating message, leave a little sparkle wherever you go. So I am going to be using that in place of a sentiment. And this is just kind of like a fun note card kind of card. I feel like I'm channeling my inner Bitty Penny, Toby Bitty Penny. She's always doing like gorgeous collage, kind of vintagey, fun cards for her Sheetload cards. And so I kind of channeled a little bit of her on mine. I'm not doing near as many fun layers or collage steps, but I did kind of take a nod from some of the things that she does. And I decided I had some of those little ephemera pieces, and I thought I would use one to cover the whole. Auditioned a few pieces, and then finally just decided to go with a tiny little butterfly, so I want to ink him up as well. And the tags actually came from a sheet of the paper. It was like a cut apart sheet with different size tags on it. So I am using a combination of those and then some ephemera pieces. So there is my card, and I do end up coming in at the end on a few of them and adding like a butterfly off like to the side, whatever the opposite side of where my tag or ephemera piece is, just to kind of help fill it in. So now this is going to be the other version of the card using like just the opposite patterns. And I'm just going to lay them down the same way. And in the beginning, before I fully adhere my strips, I was kind of just making sure I had the placement right based on either the tag or the ephemera piece that I was using. So on this one, instead of a tag, I'm using one of the fairy ephemera pieces that came in the coordinating ephemera pack. I'll adhere this down to my card base. And for my card base, I'm just using heavy duty white cardstock. That's kind of my go-to. So I move the ephemera or tag from side to side depending on what the pattern paper has. So this one has something in the left corner, so I am putting my focal point on the right, and I'm going to add my little fairy down, and then we'll overlap that little sentiment strip across the bottom of it. And then there were 2 strips left over of the pattern paper after I cut down all the pieces needed for the card, and they were like 12-inch long strips. And so it looked like they were about 1 inch wide. And so I decided that I could cut them down to 3 inches each, and then I would have a little piece of pattern paper that I could add to the inside of each of the cards. So I missed that on the first card. I will go back and do that, but just wanted to show you that if you wanted to use up those last bits to make it a no scraps sketch, then this is how you can do it. Just add that to the inside and voila. So here's a look at my 8 cards, kind of mixing and matching those patterns. I love how they turned out, and this is definitely a different style for me. I'm usually more like kind of clean and simple, so I had a lot of fun with these. And you can see on some of them there that I did add little punched butterflies, and I actually got these from Sarah, who's crafting and relaxing. She sent me some in some happy mail, so thank you, Sarah. These were perfect. But these are my cards. Please be sure to check out the playlist below. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I hope you all have a very crafty day.